The following film shows the human energy field radiating outward from the body. It dynamically changes based on the physical conditions, the feeling states, the motivations of the person, in interaction with energy radiation from objects and living things. The existence of the human energy field, or the aura, was validated and studied by over 12 years of high-frequency recordings. This film shows the field not ordinarily seen, but now visible. Like all living things, this little dog has a sizable radiant field, even when he sits quietly. Notice now, as he greets his master, the obvious love and affection between them increases the dynamic radiation from their bodies, even the dog's tail and the man's head. No wonder so many people have pets who give them pleasure and provide a vital field of energy to interact with. Wherever there is motion in the universe, there is increased flow in the field that humans interact with. See the explosive activity from the waves and from his body. Also, the electromagnetic field of the body is negatively charged or ionized, as are waves or tumbling water, which further expands and heightens his field, giving a physical exuberance and emotional excitement. No wonder that a day at the beach is so exhilarating and vitalizing. We all love a babbling brook and the freshness of outdoor vegetation and mountains. Most of us believe that it is relaxation and beauty which refreshes us. From our research, we have discovered that living plants and rarefied atmosphere provide a richer field of negative ions, which heightens and replenishes our own energy field. Notice that the man's field becomes light in color and high in frequency. It sparkles and radiates some distance from his body. See that as the child moves into the mother's field, the affection between them changes the overall field to a pink color. Individuals' fields blend and enhance when there is a warm, caring relationship. These energy fields are the largest and the whitest that we have shown. She is oming. On the breath inhalation, the radiant field diminishes, and on exhalation, it expands and envelops the child. We have known for a long time that Gregorian chants, oming, humming, singing, and whistling create an energy which perks up emotions and brings an expanded consciousness.
One of the things I've been dealing with all my life is the human aura, the energy, the bioenergy, the healing aspects. And it's really interesting when you notice language, because it's as if everything's already in the language, but people don't take it into account. And one example I'd love to give is to do with the energy that comes in and goes out of the human aura, which is basically ions, I-O-N. Now, ions are energy, and they can come from people's imagination, which is an image at ion, and from people's emotion, which is emoting at ion, and so many different things that people do on an ionic level. So, for instance, a person could be somewhere and there are around him so many different impressions. Now, an impression is an in-press ion. I know it's im with an M, but in front of a P, N becomes M. So an in-press ion, an impression, is some kind of energy coming from outside. It can be a billboard, it can be an advertisement, it can be anything that's coming your way from outside in, and it's pressing. That's why it's an in-press ion. And if it presses enough, it actually causes a situation where there can be a depression, depress ion. So there can be actually something pressing so long on the aura that it causes a depression in the aura. And this kind of pressure can put people into states of anxiety and basically depression. I mean, that's the word, isn't it? So comes the question, how do we do something about it? And actually it's also in the word, because if you want something to go out, to exit, then you want to have express, ion, expression. So a really good way to inflate your aura, to create more energy inside, so it keeps things out from outside, is to have more expression. It can be what you love to do, it can be singing and dancing, it can be going for walks, reading books. Fill your life up with what gives you a really good feeling, and make it a field of expression in your life. Because you see, the language is so simple. If you don't deal with the depression for a very long time, it becomes oppression. And an oppressed situation can cause people to do things that they didn't really plan or think they would ever do. So, a bit like a pressure cooker. You know, a pressure cooker has this little thing that goes tss all the time so that it doesn't explode. And we too, we need to find our ways to get energy out so that we don't become full of unwanted and undesired energy trying to blow us up. So find what you love to do. You don't need to be perfect. You can sing in the car, dance in the rain, but what is your expression? That is the question.
What you do in private determines how people treat you in public. Now let me explain. In private, when you are hurting yourself or self-sabotaging or causing negative frequencies within the ways that you treat yourself, let's say that you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't like what you see. You criticize yourself, you're hurtful towards yourself, or you just participate in really, really bad behaviors and endeavors. This is going to make your aura very negative. And when you walk out into public, people are going to feel this. Every single human being, we have psychic abilities. We are able to sense energies because we are energy. We are all the same energy. So this explains that when someone walks into the room and you get a little, you feel a little, damn, you feel a little off by that person because they got a negative aura going on. Now, on the contrary, when we have somebody that takes care of themselves in private, when we have somebody that participates in self-love endeavors, self-care, is following their intuition, is following their soul, is prioritizing love within them. This is all about love, and this guy is all about fear. So when this person walks into public, this person's going to be like, yeah, they're going to have a good day because they've been taking care of themselves. That explains why some people walk into the room and you're like, damn, I like that energy. I don't know what it is, but I like their energy. Yes, they're charging their aura. So what you do in private determines how people feel you and how people treat you.
Have you ever noticed how your body reacts when you're stressed or triggered? Maybe your chest tightens, your stomach drops, or your shoulders tense up. And that's because trauma isn't just something that happens in the mind, it happens in the body too. When we go through something overwhelming, no matter at what age, our nervous system activates to protect us. This could mean your heart races, your muscles tense, your breath speeds up, or you feel frozen in place. These are your survival responses. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. They prepare your body to take action by building up energy, like adrenaline, that surges through your body when you're in danger, or tension in your muscles when you brace for impact. But here's the thing, if your body doesn't get a chance to complete these responses, like running, fighting, shaking it off, the energy stays in your system. What is energy? It gets stored as tension, restlessness, or even numbness. It's why long after the event is over, you might feel stuck, anxious, on edge, as if your body is still holding on to the experience. The same nervous system that helped you survive is now carrying all those unprocessed signals as physical sensations, tightness, postural shifts, and emotional patterns. So healing is not just about talking it out. Understanding and education is important, but it's about helping your body complete those survival responses and releasing stuck energy through movement, somatic practices, breath practices, and reconnecting into the body as a doorway to connecting with your younger self. It's amazing how the body can hold all of this energy, waiting for the right time when it's finally safe to let it go. And here's the amazing part. Your body already knows how to do this. It just needs the right tools and space to do so.
Many people who have complex trauma think they are lazy, but it's far from the truth. The question is, where is the energy going to? And with complex trauma, the majority of the energy is going towards the action system associated with trauma and trauma defense. One concept to remember is that trauma memories are stored differently in the brain. So trauma memories are usually stored in this part of the brain that doesn't have a concept of past, present, or future. That's this part of the brain. And the information doesn't really get to be integrated. So we're kind of stuck. And because there's a lack of awareness of time, It just makes it that I might be putting forth the same amount of energy to protect myself as I did when I was a 10-year-old child. And because so much energy is being put towards survival, it just makes it harder to have energy for socializing, playing, learning. And this just makes mental efficiency off. So part of healing work is not only to build mental energy, but also to create more mental efficiency.
You've probably been told that DNA has just 2 strands, the double helix, right? 2 ribbons twisted together like a spiral staircase, but that's only part of the picture. What most people don't know is there are 10 more. Not physical strands you can see under a microscope. I'm talking about energetic ones. Not real in a material sense, but real like frequency, memory, and energy are real. And they carry something the physical ones don't, memory. The energetic strands store emotional imprints from highly charged everyday experiences, from powerful, intense moments, trauma from childhood or adulthood, emotional charges from your bloodline or even past lives. Every intense or highly emotionally charged experience that you've lived, especially the ones you couldn't fully process at the time, get coded and imprinted into your system like an energetic frequency. And some of those frequencies land in very specific strands. Strand 2, that's your identity, your ego structure, your sense of self. So when you get triggered by shame, rejection, or not feeling good enough, that strand lights up. Strand 3, that's your emotional body, where attachment wounds, nervous system patterns, and emotional reactions live. The charge often sits here. Strand 4, that's ancestral memory, inherited trauma passed down through your bloodline. Grief, war, abuse, if it wasn't processed, it echoes through this layer. The experience leaves a frequency signature, an imprint, a charge. And that imprint sits there, dormant, tucked deep in your system, until one of 2 things happens. Either you process and release the emotional charge by doing the work, or something in the now mirrors something from the past. And when that happens, you get a match, an energetic frequency match. And the moment your system recognizes the vibration as a match, boom, it lights up. It doesn't ask, it doesn't wait, it just responds. A look, a smell, a sound, a place, someone's tone of voice, the way someone moves. It doesn't matter, a trigger is a trigger, and now your body is having a visceral reaction, as if that past moment is happening all over again. Not because it is, but because your energetic system still holds the original imprint or the emotional charge. Your nervous system lights up before your thoughts even catch up. That's why reaction can sometimes feel overwhelming, like it came out of nowhere. But it didn't. It came from somewhere deep, from a memory stored deep in your energetic field. That's why your reaction isn't always just about the present. It's the past echoing through your system like it never left. Your body always remembers what the mind tries to forget.
All of us carry baggage from our childhoods, right?
Yes.
Until you are aware that the baggage you carry has an influence on every decision you make, every relationship you have, you can't change. As an example, I'm sure you've seen situations where individuals repeatedly pick an abusive partner.
Yes.
Over and over again. I don't understand why this happens to me. Because you have created that energy that allows that to happen. And I'm not blaming, I'm just saying that this is true. So if you never understood, as an example, that while when I was a kid I had an abusive father, and he would be mean to me or hurt me, the problem is, that becomes familiar to you, and even though it's painful and hurts you, it is something that's associated with a love figure.
Interesting.
And it's really very sad, actually.
I mean, how?
So when you were born with a very unique frequency. And this frequency is meant to attract in everything that you want. However, what blocks you from attracting these things into your life are negative energies. We have a lot of negative beliefs within us of I'd never be able to attain that. I'd never be able to do that. I'd never make that amount of money. I'd never find that person. I'll never be able to do these things. And what this does is this creates shadows within us. This creates these voices in our head that tell us, these limiting beliefs that tell us that we can't do it. They block the quantum from reaching us. When you are not able to let go of certain things that have happened to you, you hold on to that energy. And these negative energies that we hold within us will repel the things that we want, the things that are destined for you. It is always trying to find you. It is always trying to manifest into your life, from energies into events in your life, to people in your life. It wants to reach you so badly, I swear. The more that you are in alignment with who the universe created you to be, the easier that the universe can work with you, because you're now finally working with that version of you that you are meant to become.
You have energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, I use these words simultaneously. Energy, frequency, and vibration. I use them at the same time. But it's really a play on words, because all three of these words, energy, frequency, and vibration, have different meanings. And they all have multiple meanings within them. Energy, frequency, vibration, and in the middle of the triangle, I put manifestation. At the pinnacle of the triangle, at the top, I put energy. Why is that? Because everything is made of energy. What is energy? Come on, camera. Energy is, scientifically, it's the capacity to do work. What does that mean? When you turn on a light bulb, what's turning it on is the electrical energy. The energy is what turns it on. In order for you to go work out, you have to have a certain amount of energy. In order for anything in this world to take place, energy is what's going to allow it to happen. Now, there's different forms of energy. You have kinetic energy, emotion. Then you have potential. You have potential energy, which is stored energy. You have nuclear energy. Electrical energy. You guys are all familiar with electrical energy. So energy comes in different forms. There's other forms of energy as well. Then you have the law of conservation of energy. Then you have the law of conservation of energy, which says energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transformed. One of the best examples that I could think of the law of conservation of energy, where energy cannot be created nor destroyed, is water. When the molecules are most dense in water, it's ice, okay? Ice. When the molecules are most dense, and then when you add energy to it, heat energy, or maybe thermal energy, it melts, okay? The molecules loosen and it becomes liquid. Transforms from ice to liquid, but it's still water. And then when you add more energy, it then becomes vapor when the molecules loosen again. You could see the ice, you could see the liquid, but that you cannot see the vapor. It becomes invisible, but the water is still there. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just a different form of energy that your eyes cannot see. This can apply to different things. What is frequency? When you talk about frequency scientifically, it refers to the amount of wave cycles that pass a given point per second. So if this is a point right here, and you have waves, how many times did this wave pass through this point per second? That could be measured, and they're going to call that frequency scientifically. It's measured in hertz. Okay? So if a sound wave has a frequency of 440 hertz, it means that 440 vibrations per second. That's what that means. Okay? Now, frequency, now we talk about spiritual frequency. Okay? Like I said, it's different definitions. I'm struggling to write and record at the same time, but we're going to do it. Okay. So when you're talking about frequency, the type of frequency that I'm talking about, there's levels to it. Levels. Okay? You got high frequency. I guess the frequencies in the middle could be called moderate. And then you have low levels. High frequency can be associated with love. Love, peace, joy, compassion. Okay? Then you have lower frequencies. Fear, anger, jealousy, depression, shame. So when I use the word frequency, this is talking about the level at which you're at your frequency. You're always at one of these levels at any given time. You can almost call it emotional frequency. Because how you're feeling is what's going to determine, now I'm stuttering, is what's going to determine the frequency in which you're at. Like right now, I'm feeling amazing. I'm at a high frequency. When I'm not feeling amazing, I'm at a lower frequency. Okay? Let's move on. Vibration. This is a trending word that a lot of people are using. What is it? Physical vibration. When you pluck a guitar string, what happens to that guitar string? It starts to vibrate. It starts to vibrate. And then from that vibration, it creates a sound wave that your ears interpret as music. But when it comes to your emotional frequency that we just spoke about over here, the level at which you're at, you are emitting vibration. You are emitting energy out into the world based off of the level which you're at with your emotional frequency. Stay with me now. This is where things start to get interesting. Your vibration is the energy that you are emitting out. It's something that you can feel. That's why when somebody walks into the room and they're angry, or they're scared, or they're happy, you can tell that their frequency that they're at before they even say anything, because you can pick that up. So your vibration is the energy that you are emitting out into the world. Now, just like physically, when a guitar string is plucked, it emits out a sound wave and creates music that your ears can interpret. Your emotional frequency is emitting out a vibration that other human beings can pick up on. So this is a physical definition of vibration, when something is actually moving back and forth. But then you have a spiritual and or metaphysical definition of vibration that comes from your emotional frequency. It's energy that you are emitting out into the universe, which is a force. So, last but not least, why is manifestation in the middle of this triangle? You have energy at the pinnacle, you have frequency, and you have vibration. You have energy, which is the capacity to do work. You have frequency, which denotes the level that you are at with your emotional frequency, the level that you're at. And then you have vibration, which the energy that you're emitting out into the universe, which is a force that does work. Why is manifestation here? Manifestation is your ability, right? Manifestation is the ability to intentionally, dang, it's hard to write and record. You know what? Because it could be intentional or it could be unintentional as well, depending on your level of consciousness. And manifestation, from my understanding, comes from the law of attraction, which we'll talk about another time. What you put out with your vibration is being attracted back to you, like a magnet. Manifestation is the intentional or unintentional bringing of your desires into your reality. This is important. Why? Because we all want to live a certain reality. We all want to design our reality the way that we want to live it. We're all trying to learn how to do that. And the way that you learn, right? The way manifestation is in the middle. Because your energy, frequency, and vibration, the combination of all three of these aspects, from my perspective, is what's going to bring in manifestation because of the law of attraction, which is a universal law. The beginning of manifestation, it starts with your thoughts, your thought processes, okay? Everything starts with thoughts. That's why it's important that you become more conscious of your thoughts. Because your thoughts is what's creating your reality. So how do you recreate your reality? You have to change your thoughts. How do you change your thoughts? You will have to reprogram your mind. You have to reprogram your mind. Or renew your mind, like it says in the Bible. You have to reprogram your mind. And how do you reprogram your mind? Repetition. Spelling is getting messed up a little bit. So energy, frequency, and vibration is going to create manifestation due to the law of attraction. Because what you are vibrating out, you are attracting back to yourself. And the beginning of manifestation, it starts in your thoughts because you are a creator. The creator created you in his image, so you are a creator. Now, if you want to change what you are attracting to yourself, you have to reprogram your mindset. And the way that you reprogram your mindset is going to be through repetition. There's different things that you can do.
You gave such an interesting example about how God gives us $100 every day. Yeah?
I want you to tell that
Sure.
because it made such an impression on me.
If God gave you a budget of $100 worth of energy a day, your job is to learn to become a responsible investor. Now, you can invest that energy in your past, which means if you do invest it in the past, there's a real good chance you're investing it in sad memories that you want to keep alive versus investing it in your present time life. And if you invest it in your past, you're going to get dividends from your history, and those types of dividends come from wounds. And the only kind of energy that you're going to have come back to you, i.e. dividends, is going to be a repeat of that trauma. And you're going to see that trauma again and again, and every day, the way a dividend pays off is every day you'll see something that reminds you of that trauma. Versus, if you were to take that $100 and say, you know, I think I've invested enough in that period of my life, it hasn't paid off the way I wanted it, then take that money and invest it in something creative today. And if you do, the same kind of principle will play out, which is you'll see a reminder of that investment every day. You'll meet somebody who happens to be interested in the same thing. You'll suddenly walk down the street and you'll see something that says, you know, that'll apply to the idea that I'm working on. You'll have a dividend a day.
A child's first bully isn't at school. It's an unhealed parent. Your child is shaped more by your nervous system than your words. If you're anxious, angry, or shut down, they will feel it. Before they understand language, they understand energy. This isn't parenting, this is unconscious programming. A child doesn't ever think that dad is emotionally unavailable. They think that something's wrong with me. Their brain wires around your chaos. That wiring becomes shame, not self-worth. It becomes fear, not safety. And that shame doesn't just disappear. It follows them into their relationships, their career, their entire adult life. Your child doesn't need a perfect parent. They need a present one. If you don't face your pain, they will have to do it. If you don't feel your shame, they will have to carry it. And if you don't break the cycle, they will repeat it. Healing isn't just for you, it's for them. So begin facing your story so that theirs can be different.